welcome to the A Bit of AI show with your hosts, Henk and Amy.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the 13th A Bit of AI show. We're almost nearing the end of season 1. Only 2 more episodes to go. My name is Henk Boelman, and I'm a white male with brown hair, wearing glasses, and today I'm wearing a dark red shirt with black sleeves with the letters KCDC on it, and that is standing for Kansas City Developer Conference.
Oh my goodness, I actually didn't realise that. What a treat. And hi, I'm Amy. I'm a female with blonde hair, and today I'm wearing a blue-collared top. And yeah, how exciting. I didn't realise that's what that actually meant on your t-shirt. There we go. That's always a win. Mine's very plain and boring compared.
It has a very cool logo. This is like the KCDC logo, and it actually has barbecue on it.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say, is that a spatula?
Yes. KCDC involves a lot of barbecuing, or eating a lot of barbecue, not actually doing the barbecue, but
I see. What's the developer conference part? What's the focus? Is it just a bit of any developer technology?
Yes, yeah, it's a quite broad developers conference. It's really nice. If everything goes on, the next one is planned for September. So that will be cool. It's mostly pretty big, a few thousand people join, and lots of tracks, lots of cool workshops. Cool. So, hi everyone, once again, welcome to the A Bit of AI show. This show is all about the story from the people behind AI, the people who actually make it. Because in our job, we meet so many people from around the world and realize that there are so many different skill sets involved in creating an end-to-end AI solution. From pre-sales, consultancy to actually creating the deep neural networks and finally running them in production. So in this show, we invite people from all over the world that are professionals in the AI space, just to have a chat about what they're actually doing during the week. So this is the 13th episode, and we couldn't be more excited to start talking to our guests and learn more about what they do. So in this show, we have 2 items. We're going to start with our guest Robert today to chat about his life in AI. And finally, we dive into our AI Learning Challenge of the week. And as always, all the information is available on our website, abitofai.show.
And don't forget, after the show, we are around ourselves and our amazing guest for 30 minutes in a really informal team meeting called the A Bit of AI Cafe. So think about, the ad hoc conversations we used to have at developer conferences. Think of that kind of style. It's very much that. Big thank you to all those who join us on a weekly basis. It's a really nice community that we're building there. So do come and join us and ask questions of ourselves and our guest. So that's straight after, if you go to a bit of AI-cafe, or if you're on our website, it's just above the player.
Exactly. So let's not waste any time anymore with introductions and invite our guest to the show. Hey, Robert.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Amy. Hello, Henk. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Nice to be a part of the show.
It is so great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's quite an exciting. It's been, because we always do some prep behind the scenes, everyone. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek, and we always get to have a chat sort of on a Tuesday before a Thursday, and we'll just hear a bit more about our guests so that we know, where to focus when it comes to their career. And Robert, it was so great to chat with you on Tuesday, and I would say you're probably more the role that people think of when they think of AI. So you're probably the stereotypical role of what that is. And so I'm really excited for us to dive in and say that we've covered so many different types of roles, but it works as a team to kind of pull things together to get started. So no one wants to hear about what I've got to say about our prep meeting. So Robert, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do currently in AI?
Yeah, so hello, I'm Robert. I'm work as a consultant for a small consultancy company, so around 50 people we are, Arinti. We're based in Belgium and we help our clients with, not really one single tailor-made solution, but for every single client, we develop a specific product according to their needs. So me, myself, I'm a data scientist, a machine learning engineer, whatever you want to call it. And I help coding for my clients. So either that may be an on-prem solution, or either that may be something on the Azure cloud, which we are a privileged partner of. And then 20% of my time around, I spent helping my managing partners to help them with proposals, actually developing a business question and putting it into a data science project, or at least trying to help solving those questions with data science. So indeed, quite a stereotypical role, but it's a nice job and I really like it.
Yeah, no, it certainly sounds exciting, and I like the breakdown there of the role, where it's like it's not all Python notebooks and constant coding. Actually, there's a lot of sort of framing the problem going on there as well, which is really cool. Actually, that brings us very nicely to sort of the next question. You kind of hinted at it, but all our jobs look wildly different daily. But one of the things that that's quite interesting is when people describe their average day. Could you describe your average day for us?
Yeah, so in the morning I always start with coffee, so that would be my starter. But afterwards, I would say like 40% of my time is really building on-prem solutions. So I work mostly in Visual Studio Code, but I can also work with Jupyter notebooks. I'm also quite an R experienced coder, so sometimes I work with R Studio, and then we develop code for our clients on-prem. I would say another 40% of my time is really working with the Azure tool stack. So that means Azure Databricks, a large part, and also Azure Machine Learning Studio, those two types of functionality. And also there, I mostly work with Visual Studio Code or on Azure Databricks itself directly. So that's also around 40%. And then the remaining 20% is like really helping the management partners with putting in proposals, let's say. Yeah. So that would be a typical day in my life. Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that. So there is a lot of focus on the coding bit. The majority of your time is spent in that space, building those models, iterating on them. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think actually, can you debunk that myth for us? So when you write, say, a V1 of a model or a problem that you're trying to solve, is that the one that goes to production?
Mostly not. So no, we mostly mostly you do a lot of iterations. With a lot of our clients, we mostly start with like a small project of, let's say, 10, 15 days. That's really when we are at early stage, when they don't really know where they want to go to, or they have a slight idea, but they don't really know how they want to see how the product developed. So then we have like 10, 15 days where we just do like a minimum viable product, just saying like we have this, not a very nice like front end, but just like plain code, plain functionality. And then, often we start iterating. Writing is basically deleting stuff in a lot of cases. So we start deleting code, rewriting code, adding functionalities. And then afterwards, of course, you have a whole front end, but that's not really where I'm involved. And you need to put things into production. But indeed, there's like, you first have 10, 15 days of ideation with some code, also discovering the data, which is quite an important part. And then afterwards, you have like more 20, 30 days where you really go more structured towards product. But also there, of course, you have like the more agile methodology where you have a lot of iterations, like 1-2 week of rounds where you develop some features for your product. Yeah. So indeed,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, because I do think sometimes it's like, what? The V1, it doesn't work? That's not what goes straight into, like, no, like, it's so experimental, data science. Like, are we even asking the right questions? Have we got the right data? Like, is there other data sources that are going to be able to actually answer this business problem that we're framing? So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Speaking of the data, one of the things that I found most interesting in our prep talk was your favoritism of tabular data. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you meant there?
Yeah, indeed. So I'm more from a statistics background, not really a computer scientist background, and I believe these are like two different types of profiles you often see in our industry. So because I'm still have some love for statistics, so I love all these statistical tests, and also had my first experiences in causal inference and plain statistics. So I always loved working with time series analysis, for example, but also outlier detection, which you can also do on tabular data, or survival analysis, which is basically trying to predict when an event will take place. So it's neither a classification problem, neither a regression problem, but also these kind of problems I like. So I have a lot of fun with tabular data. It does not mean that I don't know anything about, for example, NLP. I know some basics. I'm really not into computer vision, but I think that there's a lot to do with tabular data, and it's still a big part of industry with everyone to predict credit default models or a lot of featureization is basically you can implement into tabular data. So yeah, indeed, I really love working with these kinds of models.
I was gonna say, like, it was interesting when you said it, because I feel like we often see a lot of, or hear about a lot of computer vision problems, or like you said, natural language processing. Natural language processing has become incredibly popular recently as well. Again, obviously it has waves. But like you said, the more problems and questions we ask of business data, actually, the more likely it's going to be tabular data with many features, and you're actually asking something quite specific of it. So it's a really great point. Really great point.
Yeah.
Cool. So we now talked a little bit about what you're doing during day, but I'm really interested in how you got into this point of your career. So how did you get into AI?
Yeah, I have quite a bit of a weird track, I would say, as a data scientist. I didn't see many people who had like a similar track to mine. So basically, after high school, I was really interested into two areas: history and economics. I first chose history because it was the least mathematical oriented, and even though I was not that bad in mathematics, I was not a really good student in high school, so it was considered as basically the easiest one to start with. But after finishing my bachelor degree in history, I really was not really keen on going into the Masters of History because I didn't really like the curriculum and not really like the program itself. So I switched to economics. I had 1 year like of a prep year, you would say, where I had a whole bunch of statistics and mathematics like condensed into one single year, which was quite heavy because I didn't see that for 3 years. You don't have any statistics course in history itself. But then I started with economics, and I really loved that. It's still a great passion for me. The type of economics I did was more like research-oriented economics. So it's not about accounting or marketing, but more like what's the impact of interest rates on inflation, or how do consumers make decisions, or how do competitive markets evolve. So it's very research-oriented, and there I discovered that I have a profound love of statistics. It was really a discovery because I have never seen it before, statistics. So after my master in economics, then I went on doing 3 years of research at university, where I really worked on empirical economics. So I had a great data set with firm level data, tabular data, and I did all kind of research, the impact of subsidy growth, discovering why do firms effectively go bankrupt or they continue to grow. So all these kinds of time series problems, survival problems were really at the heart there, but from a different perspective. So in economics, you more try to find causal relationships. So what's the impact of this on that? Whereas afterwards, after my research, I switched to more machine learning. So also in the latest year of my research, I did a lot of courses to discover machine learning itself. And there the focus is a bit different. It's not really about discovering these causal relationships, but it's more about predicting stuff or finding just some data patterns in your data, basically. So I entered my first consultancy job in one of the big four consultancy firms, and I enrolled into a division which is called People Analytics. So we did a lot of machine learning for HR. It was quite a novel field at the time because HR is probably the least savvy business department that you have. It's also the one that's where you don't have the really good data structures and the whole data engineering processes. So we did a lot of proof of concepts basically for as a consultant there because of the lack of the heavy implementation productionized data modeling part. But it's quite an interesting field because you have a mixture of a lot of things. So for example, you have survey design, which is more statistics. You have text mining to discover emotions within surveys, or you have graph analytics to discover relationships between employees. You have a lot of machine learning as well. A lot of cool stuff. But me personally, I wanted to stay into really being a good data scientist, and in a traditional big four firm, it's a bit hard. It's getting better, but in the past, they're very oriented towards becoming a manager or becoming an auditor or something, and that was not really my goal. And in addition, I really wanted to see the side of making a product out of data, and people analytics, that's still a bit hard, except maybe if you work for Amazon or these enormous firms that have hundreds of thousands of employees and who are really data savvy. But I wanted to make a next step. And so that's how I ended up in my current employer, Arinti. We had a really good fit because I did not have a computer scientist background. So I was not the expert in virtual machines or compute clusters or whatever you like to call it. But they already have, they were partnering with Microsoft, and Microsoft makes it very easy to do so. And they were willing also to invest in me and to allowing me to give me some time also to learn that part. And so that's how we ended up having a great fit, me and Arinti. So and I'm really happy at my current job. Yeah.
Really cool story. I love how everyone's story is so different, and I think so far almost every guest we had, it didn't start with AI. Their learning journey, it started with history, or we had so many things. So one more question before we move on to the quick fire round. So what is the most annoying thing about your role in AI?
Annoying thing about my role. Yeah. I guess a bit of debugging code. I'm not a big fan of data engineering myself. I can do a bit of data engineering, but I think debugging data flows and this kind of stuff is a bit hard, especially when you have these enormous data sets. You really not the thing where you can say, "Oh, I just do some change and I immediately see the result." No, you first need to wait a couple of minutes because you're working on these large samples of data. Then I really get a bit annoyed because of the waiting and so on. Of course, I try to avoid that with working with samples of data, not like the full-blown data set, but that's really me getting it. Or something like I don't. There's some issues with the virtual machine, and I'm not really the experienced person with that. And then I of course can also ask my colleagues to help me out. But first, I try, of course, a bit myself because I don't want to always grab a colleague whenever I have a problem. But yeah, that's what annoys me. It's more like pure technical disturbances. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a good one, really. It's interestingly not one that's necessarily come up. We've had the sheer amount that you need to learn and always keep on top of that. That's come up quite a lot. Expectations that people have as to what machine learning can do and what it can actually do right now, and things like that. So actually, I love that, and it's like the debug inside, the connections between all the different moving parts that sit in AI. So thank you so much. It's, as Henk said, so interesting to hear all the different perspectives, all the different roles, all the different ways people get into those roles as well. And actually, that brings us really nicely to our quickfire questions. So for our quickfire questions, we will ask you 6 questions pretty quickly. So we're looking for sort of a 1 word to a short phrase answer, if possible. The similarities between other episodes are great. The differences are even better. It's very much just a quick fire way to be able to see some of the focuses that you have. So are you ready? Are you ready to get started?
I'm fully ready. Yeah.
Nice one. All right, so we'll start with a nice easy one. And the first one is, what was your first programming language?
Stata.
Oh gosh, that is a new one. Nice.
Yeah, I'm
Very
an complex person. That's how.
Cool. What programming language was used in your last project?
Python.
I think that's now 13 for 13 that everyone has said Python. Oh no, we might have had Spark as well, but I mean, you know. Okay, cool. Next question. What was the last thing you learnt in AI? And if you can keep it to no more than a sentence.
Some reinforcement learning. I'm getting into. Yeah.
I like that one.
Favorite event on the AI calendar?
Sorry?
What is your favorite event on the AI calendar? Like conference?
A bit of AI, of course.
Yes, that's what we like to hear.
Yeah. I also part of Data Minds Connect, so I love Data Minds as well. Yeah, these two.
Oh, cool! That is a good conference. Nice one. I think that's a new one. Actually, I don't know. Henk, has someone else mentioned that? Maybe we'll have to look back at previous episodes.
Yeah.
Cool. Next question.
Times.
I was getting, maybe it was you that I was talking to then that had said about data mines. Nice one. Cool. Next question. So, what area of AI is on your list to skill upon next? So, what's on your future plan?
So, continuing reinforcement learning and PyTorch.
PyTorch. Nice.
So, last question. What training framework did you use last?
What? Sorry, can you repeat?
Yes, what training framework did you use last? Like TensorFlow, PyTorch?
Just sklearn, basic sklearn last year.
Nice. No, again, right, we spoke about the tabular data. We don't need necessarily always to have those deep neural networks and different frameworks going on. So that's even better to show that that's kind of part of everything. Yeah. Always the bit, the every package is something that's going to be useful. But you survived the quick fire round. Thank you so much. Some similarities to others, some really great answers as well around different things that you're working on. So big thank you for sharing with us sort of a day in the life of your role, how you've got to where you are, and also the things that you're focusing on in the future as well. And so with that, we will say goodbye for now, but Robert will be in the cafe with us for 30 minutes after the show. And so if you have any questions to ask, maybe dig in a little bit more to the skilling side of things, etc., do join us for 30 minutes. Go to aka.ms/a-bit-of-ai-cafe. All right, well, we will see you very shortly. All right.
See you in a minute. Bye.
Cool. So that's the last thing we have to do is tune into our learning challenge. So what did you pick this week, Amy?
This week was an easy one. After speaking to Robert about all the data scientist activities, it was a no-brainer. So what I've done is put in a learning path, so a full learning path around creating machine learning models. This includes modules such as explore and analyze data with Python, as well as train and evaluate regression, clustering, classification, and deep learning models. So if you want a bit of a crash course in some of the basics in that space, this will be a really, really good one for you. So to get to the challenge, go to aka.ms/a-bit-of-ai-learn, and you'll be able to go and take part. I think it was a little bit longer, if I'm honest, this one's going to be more of a challenge than the last, but I didn't want to water down that learning path in some senses. It makes sense to have it all together. A little bit more work to be done, but I think the work would be really rewarding. So that'll be a good one. Fabulous. Henk, any events coming up? It's going. I don't know if I have anything specific on my calendar to mention. I think everyone's recovering after there's been quite a few, hasn't there, sort of quite quickly.
Yeah, I think everyone is, everything is getting ready for the summer break or winter break if you are in Australia. And then I think everything is going to start up from September. We do have the virtual tour on 18th of June. 48 hours and we are going to visit 12 cities and every city will have 3 sessions by their local community. So it will just be 48 hours watching AI sessions from your local community. Wow. So that's coming up. For the rest, nothing AI specific came to mind for this episode.
And I guess a lot of developer conferences now have an AI track or an AI segment as well. So I do think there's always that split between a pure AI conference or a more data sciencey type conference, and then that more sort of developer friendly piece as well. So do go searching. If you have your favorite developer conferences already, it's very likely that they're going to have AI sessions in them now, which is exciting.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, that's all for another show here for a bit of AI. We only have 2 shows left of the season, and gosh, do we have 2 great guests coming up. So do tune in. You can join us every Thursday at 10 a.m. Central European time or in various different time zones around the world. Do come and join us in the A Bit of AI Cafe for 30 minutes after every show, where we can have an informal chat with our guest, as well as with you all, hear a bit more about yourselves. Go to aka.ms/a-bit-of-ai-cafe. And if you want to rewatch any of the previous episodes, as we said, this is 13th episode. We've had so many great guests with all different perspectives and experiences. Check out the website, abitofai.show. And with that, we'll just say thank you so much. And this has been A Bit of AI with Henk and Amy. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for watching.